Okay, Obama does side with the Occupy Wall Street crowd. I don't think the Occupy Wall Street is a pogrom and blood libel against the Jews. I think there are people in it who have anti-Jewish feelings. So what percentage? 10 to 20%. Occupy Wall Street is very bad for the Jews. So even if not every individual in it dislikes Jews, the Occupy Wall Street movement is the very type of movement which will lead to pogroms. I think Obama does have an affinity for Islam, much more of an affinity for Islam than for Judaism. I'm not sure that Islam calls for death to Jews. There are certain sections of Islam and the Quran and that call for death to the Jews, and the most devoted Muslims have a disproportionate number of people who do want death to the Jews. I'm not sure that Obama loves Marxism. I think he does love socialism, which I guess comes from Marxism. And yeah, so I just wanted to kind of qualify some of those things from my perspective. But there you go.
I don't. Just to rebut what you said on that last one, I don't see how you could separate socialism from Marxism when Marx wrote socialism. I don't see how you could actually separate those two.
Well, there have been lots of non-Marxist socialist thinkers. So, virtually all the governments of Europe are forms of socialism.
But aren't they a offshoot of Marxism? Isn't socialism the first step towards communism? Isn't that all part of Marxist precepts?
That is the part of Marxist precepts, but it doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean that socialism is the step towards communism.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like Europe's pretty much ruled by varying degrees of socialism.
Right. Also, you said Obama doesn't love Islam. I'm sorry. You said Islam doesn't call for the death of Jews.
I didn't. I said there are sections of Islam that call for.
But the Quran is filled with.
I'm not sure it's filled with calls to death to Jews. It does contain passages calling for death to Jews, but it also contains others about treating non-Muslims with respect. So it's got both segments.
All right. I'm not an expert in Islam, but I'm going by what people who've left Islam have told me, and they've showed me. I've read so many things on this. All right, you want to go to the next thing? All right, let's do the Parashat. Oh, and folks, I'll have that up on Facebook later this week, so you can read it.
Not even.
No, don't even waste your time. It's right here. It's right here. Wait. Let me. Give me this.
I got it.
You're never gonna do it. Here. Boom.
Okay, this week's Torah portion is Beshallach. We call it Shabbat Shira. That's what we call this.
This week is called Shabbat Shira. Do you know why?
For this big song that we sang after all the Egyptians drowned, song of celebration. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that. It's called Parashat Beshallach or Shabbat Shira, right?
Okay, Exodus chapter 13 to chapter 17. So God does not lead the Jews by the land of the Philistines. That's how the Torah portion begins, because perhaps the people will reconsider when they see a war and they will return to Egypt. So sometimes it's the right thing to go to war. Don't be a pacifist. The Torah certainly isn't.
Yeah, I want to stop right there and back you up on that. Mm-hmm. This is a huge difference, and I've talked about this many times, folks, between Judaism and Christianity. Yeah. Right? Because I find myself many times talking with people and they go, because I'll say I think we should go to war and I think we should take preventive, is that what they call it?
Yeah, preventive steps.
Preventive steps, and we should attack Iran if we have to, right? Do whatever it takes. People go, and you're a rabbi and you're talking like that? But who is the people saying? They're either Jews who have a very Christianized concept of what Judaism is, because they've been indoctrinated with so much Christianity, so they're looking at Judaism through Christianized colored sunglasses, or they're Christians, right? And they don't understand that, I make a terrible Christian. But I'm not Christian, I don't purport to be, right? Unless you're talking like some conservative rabbi or something, you're not going to hear anybody, talk like me, but that's because I'm following Torah. Torah doesn't believe in turning the other cheek. Torah doesn't believe that we're the, Jesus, we follow him and let's just, everybody sing kumbaya and get along and love your neighbor, right?
Maybe that's why you don't know if you're saved or not.
when we talked about this. And we don't do that, and we believe in taking the fight to the opponent when the opponent is threatening to kill you.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So the Israelites were armed when they went up from Egypt. They weren't pacifists. It says very particularly and specifically in the Torah that the Israelites were armed when they left Egypt.
They armed? What are they from, like New Hampshire? They were armed? Go ahead.
So why did God harden Pharaoh's heart? Doesn't that compromise the Pharaoh's free will? Well, harden could just as easily be translated as strengthened. You're not reading, the Torah wasn't written in English, it was written in Hebrew. So you can just as easily say that God strengthened Pharaoh's heart. So when you're in a battle with God, unless you get some strengthening, you're not going to have freedom of will, because you're just going to be so overawed by doing battle with the master of the universe. You're going to have no free will. So God had to precisely strengthen Pharaoh's heart to give him free will.
Where did you get that from?
Dennis Prager.
Oh my God. Do me a favor, no Prager here. We want to keep this Torah talks. All the Rishonim, all the commentators on the Torah say that God took away Pharaoh's ability. He took away his free will. The way it works is like this. God will give, when it comes to somebody who's doing evil, God will give them a certain amount of chances out of their own free will to do the right thing. But if at a certain point they have proven that they're only choosing bad, God will take it to the next step and say, then you've lost your ability. I take away your free will, and now you just work for me. And from that point forward, they lose their free will, and they're just going to keep doing evil things, and they have no choice in the matter. What we learn in this Parsha with Pharaoh is he started off and he had free choice on everything, and he decided to always do the wrong thing. Then God came in and said, well, you no longer have a choice, and from now on, you're just going to, I'm hardening your heart, I'm taking away your free will, and you're going to work for me, and you're just going to be like the Satan, you're going to be the Yetzer Hara, and you're just going to do the wrong thing every time. And Rabbi Victor Miller points out that when it came to Hitler started off the same way. Hitler started off, and God gave him free will and said, what do you want to do, the right thing or the wrong thing? And once Hitler got really involved and always chose doing evil, God took away his ability to do free will, and then he just became like a total servant of God, doing all kinds of crazy shit because he had no free will in the matter.
So like when you're studying Torah online, you think, oh, I'm sleepy, I need a little bit of inspiration, let me just look at some Sports Illustrated bathing suits. Models in bathing suits, just to kind of rev me up so I can go back to studying Torah with more devotion.
What does that have to do with this?
You'll get it. So you go check out some Sports Illustrated bathing suit beauties, and you go, this is so hot, this is awesome, really, all I need now is just to see just a handful of topless women, then I'll be fine, I'll go back to studying Torah with total devotion. So I've heard about this happening to people. So you go on, you just look at some pictures of topless women, and then you go, okay, so I've really got to see some naked women getting stripped. And then I'll be able to go back to studying Torah with my full heart, my full brain, totally devoted to Hashem. Let me just see some, just softcore. Let me just look at some softcore of some beautiful naked women getting stripped.
What does this have to do with this?
But then by the time you're watching softcore, beautiful naked women stripped, it's like, okay, I got to see the hardcore, and now you're no longer in control. You're no longer in control. At first you were in control and you could have stopped at any point. But now when you're immersed in the world of the softcore and you decide, I've got to look at the hardcore, but it'll just be like girl on boy, nothing kinky.
The next thing you know, you've got
the next
dogs
thing you're watching a gangbang.
You're watching a
gangbang. It's
no, it's one girl and 10 black guys. Isn't that your thing?
And I got my weaknesses. And then when you're watching that, you have absolutely no free will. And then it's like, okay, but it's got to be a blonde with really, big hair, but little hair, but with a really innocent-looking face. And I want him making this particular sound, which is getting porked. And then if I can just get that, then I'll be free of this thing that's hanging over me, and then I can serve Hashem with a full heart. And then you're looking, okay, I need to see an 18-year-old, doing this. And
why stop there? Get her to be 14.
Well, that's illegal, and But by this time, you no longer have free will.